And we're now recording. Awesome. So, everybody, welcome back. Thanks for meeting for being flexible with the time. Sorry if you just woke up at noon, but I understand some of you. I just did that. So, what questions do you guys have for me so far? Anything class related? Anybody?
Do I need to submit it as a PDF or regular PDF? I'm guessing.
Let me address this right now for everyone that's here live and those that will watch this later in the future. All documents must be submitted as a PDF to Moodle. Not only did I say that in the academic continuity plan, but I also said it on the description for the assignment. That is to help me when I grade. You have to think that I have 3 classes that I know online and everything's submitted through Moodle. So help me help you. Okay. So that's there. If it is not submitted, you receive 25 points off. Hopefully, everybody will submit stuff directly as a PDF from the start. Second thing, please go back and reread the academic continuity report that's posted that provides guidelines for your reflections. Some of you did a great job with this, where it provided me. What I'm looking for is for you to tell me in your own words what you took away from the class. I do not need you to sit there and rehash everything that we covered in the class. Obviously, I know that. Obviously, you know that because you either watched it live or in the recorded version. What I want you to do is take and apply in your own terms. So leadership, you can talk about, maybe here's my own leadership style of what I am. So we said, well, this is what we did, and here's this. No, I want to know your own personal reflection of this, not a rehashing of what we talked about in class. Is that understandable for everybody? Everybody gets that? Good. That's really what I'm looking for on these self-reflections. I'll make it really simple. You submit it as a PDF, and you give me an accurate self-reflection of what you did. Odds are you're going to get 50 points. All right? I can't be more direct than that. So, create yourself for it. I'm not asking for a lot, 1 to 2 pages. All right? Any questions? Brandon, do you have a question?
No, I got it. I've figured it all out, but I submitted it again as a PDF also.
Yeah, I'll go back and look at that. All right, so let's start talking about today's RSM456 day. Let's start out with this. What are you taking away from RSM456, whether you're in it now, maybe you were in it previously? What are the major elements of that class that you think relate to event management?
What's RSM 456?
Admin, administration.
I haven't taken that one yet.
Okay. Those that are currently in it, what are you taking away from it? I know most of you, some of you are currently in it because I've heard you talk about it in class. So, what in that class can help you in event management, you think? If people start talking, I'm just going to sit here and stare at y'all for the next 15 minutes.
I guess like chain of command. Oh, no, you got it.
Before we left for spring break, we did a feasibility study, which basically was looking at different areas where you could hold an event, so that could go to event planning also.
Okay. So what specifically about that feasibility study pertains directly to event management in a way? I know it's where can you post it, right? But what components of there have the most value? I'll give you it. I do many feasibility studies anytime I create a new event with this class. My process that I go through is I usually go, hey, I need your guys' feedback on this. And I'll put it probably on the final exam. Here's this new event that I'm thinking about. Tell me how this could work. I want to run it past 30 trained event managers now to tell me how that can work. That's usually my first step in feasibility. So probably your feasibility study is one, talking with constituents in the community, understanding how this event could work, right? You guys did what, a HBCU national championship or something, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
So that's just thinking through how this event could fit in. When I brought the Cakes for a Cause event in the fall, there was a lot of discussion. The discussion of that event started in March for an event that occurred in November. And it started with how feasible could it do this? Could I get the right partners in place, right? If you think your HBCU project from the admin class, what partners could I bring on board either through the community? Is that Chamber of Commerce? Is it these other groups that I can then line up to help me with my organization? Correct? We think the Myrtle Beach Invitational, and this is actually occurring right now in Myrtle Beach, although not many people see it or know about it, but the Myrtle Beach Bowl that's coming in December. That is a feasibility study that's been going on, and ESPN is an owner of that. They did feasibility on trying to decipher, is this market conducive for our events moving forward? And when they brought the Puerto Rico tip-off here, when whatever hurricane hit Puerto Rico, I forget which one that was. When that hurricane hit Puerto Rico, and they brought it here to Myrtle Beach, ESPN was testing the market to see how well that responded, and a good group of people turned out to make them permanently put an event here. Then they want to know, hey, great, you can bring out 3,000 people for a basketball game. Can you bring out 20 some odd thousand people for a football game? So what's the people? Because we're all trying to make money off of that constantly. University is, ESPN is. There's a lot of money that goes into that. So what's the overall feasibility? So that's one thing for 456. What else would you guys want in there? Anything? Nothing? Dylan? Turn your microphone on.
Sorry, we did budget stuff with like athletic directing, so I guess that could kind of correlate with event management in relation to like making a budget and like planning in that kind of sense.
So what's the biggest budget expense usually for an event?
Site rental, maybe, or
Huh?
like with like any event. I guess depending on the size of it, could be like the site, depending on like the scale of the event. I mean, for a smaller event, it wouldn't really matter, but like a Super Bowl or something, I mean, that costs a lot of money to.
Okay. What is usually the biggest expense for any business?
Staffing. People. The people are one of your biggest expenses. So if we take what I'm sure you will get to in 456, I'm not sure. But administration. So if you look at the RSM curriculum as a whole, how it's been built up, you take RSM490, which is finance, and then you move into some of these others. Marketing, we'll have we got to use this budget that we built and market stuff. Leadership, we're learning how to lead people. Well, administration is more than just leading people. From an event manager perspective, it is how can I not lead, but also how am I going to pay for all these people to come in? How am I going to schedule my staffing? So it's there. So you ever had a job where there's, I don't know, a whole lot more people that are there that shouldn't be there? For that, how many people may be in the store and something that's going on? As a manager, I hate seeing that because that's very inefficient. If I have more people working than need to be there, right? I'm spending more money than I'm truly making. An example of this is at the Myrtle Beach Pelicans when I'm down there working, and I'm up in the press box and I'm running the scoreboard or something. And the thing I hate most are rain delays, right? I cannot wait. If they pull a tarp, we start a clock. It's 45 minutes from the time that tarp gets pulled. It's a 45-minute clock to when either we can resume or call the game, right? I want them to call the game. I want to go home. Like, we played 5 innings. I'm ready to go home. Let's get this done with. I don't really care. The players want to go home. They play 5 innings, official game, we're done. Like, there's a race. Like, we literally have our phones and apps pulled up to the weather, and we're tracking this stuff. I'm an amateur meteorologist. Y'all, if you live near a coast long enough with hurricanes, y'all become amateur meteorologists at some point in your life. And we're tracking this. We're like, come on, get to 5 innings. Once we hit 5, if we're ahead, we're like, come on, don't screw this up. Don't lose. Let's get rain. Let's get this thing canceled. We figured it up one time where we sat in a delay. And they had all the staff still there. Concession stand open. We probably had about 3,000 people that were in the park. When it starts to rain, most of your people leave, right? Families aren't going to stay around, especially it's high A baseball. No one really cares, right? And once it's about 8 o'clock, no one really cares. Mom and dad, the kids are going crazy. They're getting back home. But the concession stand's still open. We're like, we're gonna keep playing the game, and it is pouring down rain. We actually figured out and counted out how many people were probably there working, and the amount of money per hour the Pelicans were spending on staff for every time that you had a race. So for every hour that this laid on, it went longer, because usually for a game, and you can figure out budgeting staffing. So all your staff has to be there by 5 usually for a 7 o'clock first pitch. So you're there, so 5, 6, 7, there's 2 hours. Game you have 3. So you usually budget 5 hours, 5, 6 hours tops for staffing per night for an expense you need to cover. So as an administrator and admin, how am I going to schedule people now? How am I going to keep people on, let people go? How am I going to work that? Now is where you start to put into the financial ramifications of this. What's my, for an event, how much am I making? How can I do that? How can I offset the cost of my labor? Those are all elements of administration that bring in, that really impact that event manager, because you have a restricted budget, right? For the most times, no one has unlimited money to spend. Even the Super Bowl, how do we cut costs staffing wise for an event?
Sponsorships.
So sponsorships are revenue. How do we cut costs? How do we keep our costs down for personnel? What do we look for?
Volunteers.
Volunteers. That's why the other thing that's really important to look at from an admin side are your volunteers. How are you recruiting them? How are you training them? How are you staffing them? Right? And you really have 3, I usually classify it down in 3 main groups of volunteers. You have your old folks, right? Your old folks just want to get out of the house. They want to get out. I mean, we all want to get out of the house. But they want to get out of the house. Husband and wife can come out and do it. They get the guys together, go do something. You put them over there, let them in your parking, let the ladies be your welcoming thing. Great. Minor grad degrees in gerontology, old people drive me nuts, right? I guarantee you, the more events you do, the older population will drive you bananas, because they have a lot of knowledge, but they're going to annoy you. I'll be upfront and honest with you. They will annoy you. Has anyone had experience dealing with older volunteers in any events?
Golf tournaments, a lot.
What are they out there for?
Front row seat.
They want to go watch. They want to see the players. They'll spend the $60 to get the polo and the hat and whatever to be. That's what golf tournaments charge. Golf tournaments will charge you $60, $70 to be a volunteer for them, but you get a polo, you get a hat, you get your tournament badge. So they say we're covering the expenses of our polos. Yeah, crap that. They have, those are donated by sponsors, right? If you go look at most golf tournaments, Nike, Under Armour, Flip Joy, Titleist, Peter Millar, all these will probably donate some products, so they're the official apparel provider of whatever tournament. And yeah, you think they're paying for it? No. Listen, I had a way to get them buying. So yeah, old people at tournament, they want a front row seat. They want to be right there. They want to be the hold the rope when Tiger Woods walks by, so they can tell all their friends, "Yeah, I was there. I met Tiger Woods." Tiger Woods don't remember them, but I met Tiger Woods. Okay. Your next group that you're going to come into as far as volunteers are working professionals. These are those that are out, usually have families, don't have families. So think once you graduate college, hopefully you'll become a working professional in whatever field you may be in, right? Let's say I was a professor. Let's say I'm an accountant. I do this. Well, I'm going to go volunteer. Right. So I'm going to go out there. I have different needs of what I want. They might just want to be out. They might be affiliated with a club. Something else along those lines. They just want to do some civic duty, but their time restraints are a whole lot tighter. I'm on the board of directors of a nonprofit right now. Those are active professionals in the community, which are great, but I've been trying to schedule a meeting now for 2 weeks, and it gets difficult trying to get an email response back. All of a sudden, I just joined the board 2 weeks ago. Now I'm the chair of their fundraising committee, just like that, because I'm willing to do stuff. So your active professionals are great, but they also possess skills that you shouldn't overlook, right? So if you have someone who's good at maybe accounting as a volunteer, maybe have them be your managers of sorts for a group. Let them be in charge of 10 old people, right? They can do this. If it's your ticket area where people are coming in or scanners, yeah, give me someone who's there who they can listen to and make that happen, right? So think about, this is all staffing, but how can I use volunteers and use their resources, right? And your last group are you, students. How many times have you volunteered for an event and you're like, oh, well, you're just go move this stuff for me and do this stuff, right? Does that happen to y'all when you volunteer places? And you're sitting there going, wait, I'm a student in the sport management program. I already know more than all these volunteers put together about how to run an event, how this stuff works. But you just want me to get cast off to the side and just go do these small little tasks, right? Use your resources effectively. If I know that you, the student, has special skills, has knowledge ahead of time, then I'm going to use you in certain places that are going to help my organization. If you're a semi-trained professional, well, then I can put you maybe in charge of people. I can put you in charge of doing stuff. Think about how we can, as event managers, provide educational opportunities for these volunteers that are coming out, especially students, right? If I was in charge of the Myrtle Beach Bowl, my first place I'd be knocking on, I'd be going to Dr. McGlone and saying, look, here's what I need. Here's a program I want to set up. You volunteer to work this. I'm going to put you in positions where you're going to actually learn and create experiences that then flip around and benefit you. That's something that you as an event manager have to think through. And that's not exactly the easiest thing to do. Because let's take, for example, the Super Bowl. How many volunteers do y'all think it takes to run the Super Bowl? Any takers?
20,000.
20,000? Any others? Brandon, anything?
15,000.
15. Dylan, what you got for me?
I'll go 35.
35,000?
Yeah.
Shannon, you got anything?
Can I just go with a lot?
A lot. Because that sounds very quantitatively reasoning. Kira, anything? Oh, Kira's up there.
Can you hear me? No, I'm here.
Okay.
My God, 10,000.
Okay. So you guys are starting to come down. From the most recent numbers that I saw when the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, it took about 7,700 volunteers. So if you think we go crazy, and I'll say this: I love bringing Dr. Lane's leadership class out. Some of y'all have that. Maybe you have to go volunteer at events. Baby Animal Day, right, Emily? Baby Animal Day.
That was like the worst day ever.
Yeah. So all these other ones, I love when they come out to these events, but it gets troubling because now not only it's hard enough for you guys to manage your own team, but now I got to manage 20 volunteers that are out here. Absolutely not. So take that and multiply it by a lot to get 7,000. Now, how do I do this? How do I get all these people together? How do I rope it in? From all different backgrounds, and tracks of life, right? And volunteer management is one of the most critical things to pick up and learn in the event management space because you're going to have them, right? I'll never forget the meeting that I had down at the Orange Bowl when I'm down there with our former grad student who worked with, and we sat there and said, and we spent a whole week doing stuff. And here I am. I got my PhD, I got an MBA, and we're going in and we're helping stuff boxes. So they had to make 700 little sponsored gift boxes for the Bacardi party they had the one night or something. And we're stuffing them. We walk in, and here's these interns are working, and I stroll in. We stroll in and to their office, and they're like, "Wow, great volunteers to help." And these students, we pick up the box, and literally, it's a box you put together. One slit goes into another slit, and you put the box, you put stuff in. And then one student that's an intern there turns to me and goes, "Wow, you know how to put the box together?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, figured that out. It didn't take much, but we figured it out." And he goes, "Wow, it took us like a day or two to figure out how to do that." I go, "Where do you go to school?" He's like, "Florida State." I go, "There you go." But he said, understanding how I put it together, and then we went to their big kickoff luncheon party, which hosts like 700 people come in. We had to get people through, and we asked. The lady came in. It was her first time ever, I think, dealing with volunteers, and there was probably 15 of us there. Myself and my grad student were the two youngest people at the table, and the lady goes, "Well, here's what we're going to do. Why don't we go around the table and you tell me what you did last year, and then we'll see if we can fill in those same roles again." And the two old guys go, "We guard the trophy." This meeting that could have taken 5 minutes took us 25 minutes. And to the point where the director of operations bowls talked to them and goes, "Hey, we got people coming. We need help." So think through how you can use volunteers. Ask their backgrounds if you can. See where you can do it. This is why I love working with Empire Sport Management. Shannon, you can attest to this a little bit. They will use us in ways that benefit them, that make their life easier. They know there's expertise in what we're doing. They will put us in places to assist and help in ways. It's Monday after the Masters, which bummer that people can't do that. Dylan, you saw it there last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they put us in a room where we can interact with people, but they knew, hey, I can trust you guys to go do this.
Right.
Or I can go do other aspects. So we think back to leadership last week, where it involved trust and picking people and guiding them what to do. Now administration comes in with scheduling and putting those people that you selected over people to work and schedule that in. So it's all one really big puzzle that you're trying to fit together. But I've worked with people that do it right, and I've worked for a lot that do it wrong. The American Heart Association here in Myrtle Beach, they had me and my wife out in the parking lot directing cars in. I'm like, okay, look at this. I busted out some dance move and directed cars in. But I'm like, I could be helping you doing a lot of other things. But here I am. So think through your personnel you have. If you have a group of students that are coming from a sport management program, don't just think about when you did that and what you didn't want to happen, and how can you provide them with the best experience. So that's something just to continually think through with volunteers, because ultimately our goal is to put on a great event, and you need people to do that, and also saving money. And the one last thing I'll talk about, has anyone ever been hired as an independent contractor before? Anybody? You know what an independent contractor is? Dylan, what's an independent contractor?
It's like when you get hired. So for like, say, for like Coastal, would it be like hiring people to take care of, like, say, concessions when they're not like a part of your company, but they're hired to do a certain aspect of it from outside?
Correct. So usually an independent contractor, and we, in the sports world, I'm going to say we abuse this a little bit, to bring in independent contractors. And I have been paid through being an independent contractor for stuff that I've done, because in other words, it's really easy to do this. I pay you, I give you money. Well, if you get paid, that all has to be accounted for, right? And especially the IRS wants to know how much money you got paid. So you have to fill out a form, and you'll get a form in the mail called a 1099. 1099 miscellaneous. Technically, you're an independent contractor when you get all those. And on that just says how much money you made doing something. Whereas an event manager, this helps you. And I'm going to put on my event manager hat now. This helps you because, hey, I can pay you now $1,000. And I don't have to fully bring you into my company as an employee where I have to go through everything. If I bring you in as an employee, now I have to take taxes out of your check and withhold it and send that to the IRS. I have to withhold your Social Security taxes. I have to withhold your Medicare taxes. That's a lot of responsibility that I now have to take over and send to the IRS on your behalf and do. Most event management organizations are not very big, as I talked about before. You might have 4 or 5 people there. Are any of them a trained accountant? No, not usually. So from an event manager side, this works really well and on your behalf if you can do it. It's a legal way to get money to somebody without having to take undue burden onto your business. Now, put on your other hat. You're a person that's an independent contractor. Do you like that or not? How many of y'all actually do your own taxes? Anybody?
I
No. What?
I do.
Who?
Kaylee.
Kaylee. So you do your own taxes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you done them so far this year?
Not yet. No.
Okay. I highly recommend you do that because that's going to help you get maybe $1,200 back. So get busy with that. But that's besides the fact. So, on your taxes, as an independent contractor, this comes to you, your tax liability goes up as an independent contractor. Because what essentially you're supposed to do is, let's say you got paid $1,500 to work something, right? Your taxes usually, if you factor in 30% of that. If I give you $1,500 for working something, are you going to take 30% of that, put it into a bank account, and hold it until taxes are due? Anybody? Truthfully speaking? Probably not. So I'll say I did it. So when it comes time for taxes, now it's time to, you're faced with a larger, where you might be expecting a refund. Now you're like, oh, I got to pay in $500. Why? Oh, because I haven't really, that $1,500 was given to you, but you didn't pay any taxes on that. Right? So that's where it gets a little iffy and sketchy if you think about the backside of it. But as an event manager,
it's got its benefits to you, to where you can pay your workforce without fully having to think about benefits, without having to think about other stuff that you might have to do, right? Just something to think about as you enter the workforce, is that the ability to pay through 1099s to people as independent contractors. I've been classified as an independent contractor before, but still required to essentially be an employee, but you weren't treating me as, there's this weird relationship. So with admin, really it boils down to a conclusion for the class. You're trying to put on the best event possible, always. To do that, admin comes in handy because of staffing and budgeting, right? Also, some of your feasibility stuff, but really it's staffing, budgeting kicks in. And managing labor personnel, so volunteers comes in. So understanding how to do all those things. If you have experience and can gain experience as a volunteer coordinator or any of those roles, you will have a job in the nonprofit sector for the rest of your life. All right. There's two things that nonprofits hate doing: putting on events and dealing with volunteers. Being honest. So think through that as opportunities as you're looking now. If you like people, if you like dealing with a diverse group and have patience, volunteer management's a great place to be. All right. So my sister could be a great volunteer coordinator. She was a kindergarten teacher. So there you go. But with that, any questions for me? Anything at all? Everybody still doing all right? Still liking being home or no? Is it getting old yet?
Yeah.
It's old.
It's old?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just keep plugging along. I know right now, do these video lectures make class a little bit better than just some interface in the middle? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, if it can provide you guys, the reason I like it, if it can provide just even a half hour, 45 minutes in a week of some sort of normalcy where you're hanging out with your classmates, then that's a win-win across the board. I enjoy it. To be able to get on here and see you guys and talk with you guys. As y'all know from class, I'm a very interactive person. So, to say the least, I won't go any like crazy tangents like I do in class. But I enjoy it. Just keep plugging along with what you're doing. Keep up with your classwork to the best of your ability. Have y'all built out schedules for yourselves of what you do? Yeah, keep up with those schedules. Really, I always try and find some sort of positive spin on this whole thing that's going on. What this is preparing you, you're building skills right now that are going to be beneficial to you once you get out in the industry. Knowing how to manage your time, knowing how to allocate that, how that plays into your job and getting skills done, right? And that's really, because once you get out to a job, no one's going to be over you. And you're not going to go physically to a class or a meeting twice a week, and we're going to talk about something, and you're going to go back and go do it. No, get your stuff done and apply good time management skills. That's critical to what you're doing. So make lemonade out of the lemons that are there. And really, how do you do that? Myself, I told you guys before, I'm in classes myself. So I carve out time to address those classes to make sure I'm staying up with those. So make sure you build out your schedule as to what you're doing, and just truly embrace the situation. That's really, what it is. All right. My wife's laughing at me in the other room because what I'm saying. So, but with that, if there's no other questions, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll post this up to Moodle as soon as I can. Good seeing y'all. As I said, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help. If it's a video chat, let me know. If you just want to talk to me for some odd reason, send me a video chat. We talk about anything. The lack of sports on TV. I don't care. I'll get more videos. I can bring her around. She's sleeping here. But we can do that. All right? All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yep. See you later.